Hey, what's up, everybody? Fred Minnick here, and I've got a bourbon hunting tip for you. Now, this is one that has served me well over my 2 decades of buying bourbon. And while I do get a lot of samples and I get a lot of people trying to get me to review their stuff, and I also have a spirits competition, I still buy a lot of bourbon. And I buy in places that you may not consider walking into. That's the truth. Now, I do go to the liquor barns, the small mom and pops. You know, I have found incredible things in drugstores. I've found things in grocery stores. Meijer and Walmart have incredibly randomly good selections and pricing. But if you are truly looking for like a Holy Grail bottle, this is an old, tried and true technique that I've used over the years through my travels, and it still, to this day, has paid off. And that is get an Uber or a rental car and go to the crappiest part of town. Like, I mean the crappiest part of whatever area you're in. I mean, if we're talking like, there's a drug deal somewhere going on around the corner. Hell, there may be even a drug deal happening at the liquor store. Believe me, you're going to be fine. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say you're going to be fine. You want to feel like there's a little bit of danger there. And I've been in actual war zones, and I think I'm just kind of like casually comfortable in places like that. It's probably not good, but it doesn't bother me. Like, I don't get bothered by that sort of thing. I get more scared of a freaking clown just someone dressing up as a clown and being near me. I get more scared of that. I'm more scared of heights than I am going into a bad part of town at a liquor store. Anyway, I want to tell you a couple different stories about going into these like hole in the walls and the bad part of towns. Okay. So one, I went to a liquor store in West Louisville, just real kind of like hole in the wall. There's definitely some of America's oldest profession going on, maybe in the alley next to it. I walk in there. There's a lot of things that are like behind the liquor store where the liquor store guy is. A lot of stuff behind him, and usually it's things that people steal frequently. And it was like at this time it was like Jack Honey or Jack Cinnamon and Fireball were back there. Like, people were stealing that stuff. And I walk in there, and this was a time when Weller 12 had been completely just ransacked. It was not in and around Louisville anymore. I walk in there, it was like a whole freaking shelf of Weller 12-year-old. And I'm like, this is Louisville. There's no way that Weller 12 would be on the should be on the shelves. And it just turns out like the guy just put it out there not that long ago before I walked in there, and I bought a couple bottles. It seemed nice enough. Now, I think probably eventually those bottles did get sold. So what happens a lot of times at these stores is that they take inventory and they literally have them in the back, or they have them stacked up, and things get stacked upon them, and they're in a part of town where these higher end whiskeys, they're not going to sell, or they don't get them, or they got something before it was hot, like the case of Weller 12. You go to any store in Louisville in 2010 and find Weller 12. It just was not a thing. It was like a $30, $40 product maybe. So, my guess is he bought Weller 12 from that time frame, put it back, somewhere in his office, and it just kind of like was there. I've since been back to that store. It no longer has, pretty much anything. I've done the same thing in Kansas City, but the biggest hole in the wall gem I have ever come across, and I wish I knew the name of this place, and I wish I knew where it was, but it was in Atlanta. I was in a store in Atlanta that everything was behind bars. Like, everything was behind bars. There was like hardly anything that wasn't behind bars. But I mean, this dude had Four Roses limited edition small batch from like 3 years ago. Like, it was just like, how is this place, this little honey hole, here in the middle of nowhere. And it was like super clean. A lot of these like hole in the walls will feel like you're walking into a public store bathroom or like a public restroom. Like it'll feel like that. Not this place. This place, like, you know, I wouldn't say I'd eat a sandwich off the ground. I'm typically not eating a sandwich off the ground as it is, but this place was pretty clean. And so I felt really good about it. But I found this was the time that you still couldn't find Henry McKenna. I know that's my fault, or at least I'm partially to blame for that. I own that, but it's also my job to taste things and say if I like something. So not gonna be ashamed of it. But I got Henry McKenna there. I got one of the barrel, I think it was one of the gold labels there. And, you know, I didn't buy any of the crazy things that he had. He didn't mark his stuff up too badly, but it was just enough where I was like, I don't want to buy it. It was maybe 50% over SRP, which some people can justify. But in that moment, at that time, I wasn't feeling so hot. Now, here's the thing. I know it's real popular to do these bourbon hunting videos and doing all that stuff. These are places that you break your phone out, you have someone walking around with a camera, you might get your ass kicked, okay? So I don't encourage anyone to go out there with a camera and go into those stores. And if you do, more power to you. I just think it's better when you go into bad parts of town. It's better to kind of go in like in a low profile. Don't go in there with a camera around you, you know, because things happen in parking lots and for real. Like that's, you know, you want to do something that's going to get you hurt. But that being said, I have found a lot of great whiskey over the years in the bad parts of town. It is my number one tip for bourbon hunting used to be making relationships with the store managers. That's long gone. Yeah, that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter as much anymore. And honestly, in today's market, stuff is out there. You can find stuff. It is not as hard to find a bottle of Henry McKenna anymore, for example. But to truly find something that's been sitting on the shelf for 10 years, you only got one shot, and that's in these really crappy ass parts of town. So if you travel wherever you are, hit a liquor store, try to find out what bad part of town there is. Be safe, you know, take your precautions, do whatever you feel comfortable with, and probably go during the day. You don't want to go at night, you know, just things like that. And probably don't buy drugs or solicit a prostitute while you're also in the liquor store parking lot. That'll probably defeat your ability to find a rare bottle later on down the line. Not because you couldn't find the bottle, but maybe because you're in jail. And that's not ever a good place to try and find bourbon. You're drinking toilet wine at that point. But hey, fun little random video from me. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Trying to get back on this channel more. Thank you all for appreciating some of my time away with the eye surgery. Writing this book, of course, if you haven't checked it out. It's called Bottom Shelf. You can pre-order it right now. It comes out in February. I got a book tour coming out very soon. There'll be a link in the description of this video where you can basically hit that link and go pre-order a copy now. But also, I want to know, where have you gone to get a crazy bottle of bourbon? What depths have you gone to get something something good? What bad parts of town have you been to? Love to know. Put it in the comment section. Thanks a lot, y'all. Be safe out there. And remember, vodka sucks. Cheers.